Hey, welcome to the Scribo demonstration suite. So what we've done is given you a demonstration community and we've given you a login as a teacher, and inside that teacher account there's a little class of students and there's a demonstration essay. It's usually called the Mediterranean World. The one above it is Presto, which every now and again we put a Presto in there just to sort of align you with other pieces of the software. But the main one I want to talk about now is the Scribo sort of presentation of how to use it as a teacher in the context of a class with a live activity underway. Now, as I sort of get into that, I'll come back and show you how we got to here. But the first thing to do really is just, come in as a teacher. You're in a demo class, you have students with something to do, you click on it, it's one click. The whole idea of Scribo is to get you a teacher inside the class as quick as possible. See what they're thinking, see where they're going, have a look at what's happening, what their scores are, and how you can help. Okay, so what we have here is your class. Down the side, everyone's been scored already using a rubric. The rubrics are very flexible. I'll show you a bit about that. I don't want to go deep diving into all this because it can become a big conversation, but just across the top, we've got a Scribo scoring system, which is AI driven, and we've got a rubric based system, which is you driven. And you tell us how your metrics work, and we'll make it so simple for you to recalculate a score simply using our AI facility. We grade using the linked rubric. So once the rubric's set up, your activity is set up, AI kicks in and does the auto grading for you. So we're always subject to the sort of nuances of AI busyness around the universe, but usually it's back to us within 10 to 15 seconds of a request. And the request can be quite huge, like mark against quite a vast IB rubric, for example, which is what it's doing now, or do something really simple like find the adjectives in the text. It doesn't matter what you ask it. The thing is, it will do it. We can apply it, and now we have a live score with AI having marked it. Okay, I'll explain the yellow as we go through. So there's no sort of like confusion as to what you're doing here. Each student is given feedback at summary level all the way through, and I'll let you explore the levels of feedback. But this is like a high school student who's working at a level like maybe 7 to beyond, where feedback is really important to what they're doing. We break it down into categories. We order it by importance. So these are the red ones are the most important. The orange ones are things to think about. There's a lot of like little things and nuances in the system that you'll get used to as you go through that you can really focus in on. So if you were trying as a teacher to really overcome this passion of students to have long sentences, 2 clicks later we're going, oh, it hasn't worked. What I was trying to do hasn't worked. Let's give them an option as to how they could fine tune that sentence. Right click anywhere and you've got AI rewriting it for you. If you think that's a better sentence, you simply create feedback and it goes straight to the student immediately. So there's so many ways for a teacher to move very quickly around the class, looking into students' work, contributing feedback automatically through AI or any other means they like. Like I could simply highlight something and right click and make a comment using voice. This is a really excellent piece of work. I think you should continue in style of writing. Okay, students now have that audio message sent through to them in voice and video or voice. So there's so many ways in here that you can explore the feedback side. Don't feel constrained that it's giving feedback of a certain type and level. That can all be configured as well. Okay, help is there, configuration of the rules is there as a teacher. There's nothing really stopping a personalization levels coming into this platform at a very high level, and teachers can really customize it to whatever standards they want. You've also got access to our GPT and our own AI that augments GPT as well. So you can really ask it some direct hit sort of instant feedback that you might want to give students. They don't have access to this level of feedback, but they can if you want them to. So it's really a lot of choices in here that as you get into it, you can very quickly turn on and off as a teacher. But 3 choices, three recommendations per paragraph is a great It's a great lift off a teacher's shoulders. That to create at that level of detail by a teacher for a student is really difficult. It's now in the feedback list for a student. Okay. Um, so click around in here. There's some things I'll point out to your attention. The history. We track everything a student's doing. If they're using AI to improve their work, you can see how much AI they're using. If they're using Scribo to correct their spelling, grammar, and the things that you're pointing out to them in feedback, we can track that they're actually following your feedback. So there's a lot of great stuff that comes out of this. I think one of the other great things in here is the monitoring report. Like you work week to week, topic to topic. As you build up a volume of work over time, we tell you what's going well and what's not going so well. So we track at very detailed level all of the things that students are doing, and you can see your impact as a teacher across those activities as they move across a class, and indeed between classes. Some students write really well in history, others don't write so well in English. So this is really a B2B classroom teacher model. It can also work in very much a tutor model where, lots of students, possibly a couple of hundred students here are under the guise or management of a tutor who chips in at the right time to give the right level of advice. On the other side of this is obviously a student, and I'll just flip a screen here to show you that the students pretty much get the same level of feedback. Now let me just get out of here and show you that. I was in somewhere else in a student. So their work here is exactly the mirror image of a teacher's view, except they get a different kind of level of feedback, okay? They might be set up to get a Scribo score as opposed to a Rubric score. They might have access to an avatar mode, which means if they're a lower level writer, we give them much softer feedback and engagement. So, and again, all of this is very much option driven by a teacher or the way we set the system up. So students have got access to some really good stuff. Everything they do is caught in a containerized step-by-step, blow-by-blow timeline. So we can see improvement at any time. Parents can see improvement. Anyone can see how they're going and what the big issues are in their writing as they go through. From a student perspective, in IB kind of thing, where you're running more of a B2C kind of thing, students can come up with their own essay topics. So if you had some essay topics, you could create them in a library. I'll show you a bit about that in a second. If students actually want to use this to check their writing in any subject, okay, we can let them put in the topic and instructions. We'll search for the keywords to try and focus them in on how to deal with this topic. They might think that's way too many. I'm not going to do all that, but come back to a reasonable level of good keywords. The questions asking them to discuss, evaluate, and explain. So we're looking for these writing traits that the rubrics are looking for as well. It's a history assignment. They want 5 paragraphs. They want 600 words. It has to be an informative genre. It's for history, and I'm in year 10. So we kind of set them up for some analysis. We tell AI what we're really trying to do here as a student. We save that. We're now in a place where I've got my topic built for me. I know what my keywords are, the expectations are. I simply start writing. And this is where obviously we punch in our essay, pardon the cut and paste. Once I'm writing at a level, of course I can then run a writing check. So it's a simple one click for a student. We do our scan. This is all visible by a teacher or tutor as well. So it's very two-sided. The equation is very open and balanced. This student's getting 55. How could I improve? Here's how I can improve. Okay, so I get about improving using the system to guide me. So if I want to eliminate, all of the grammar errors straight away, I can come into here and see for some suggestions, accept the suggestions, get a bit of confetti, and keep going. And the more of those I fix, the more of those I get recorded in history, and the better my marks get. And I'm doing it all in a solo mode. Now, if I want to ask a teacher or tutor, what about, I can highlight anything and put your hand up. Okay, call for help. They can also have rewrite sentence depending on what you want to give them, and we can give them a whole choice of AI suggestions as well. We don't give them the ability to rewrite things. Teachers have got all that capability, but students can have any number of these kinds of things, and really we record these as kind of macros that they can simply just click and forget. So if we're doing something that's factual, evidence-based, we can do a fact check straight away. Things that really make it quite seamless for students to get good feedback outside of the process writing sort of constraints of, grammar, punctuation, spelling, long sentences. Those sort of process things are not at this level. This is where we use AI for. So there's a whole range of things we can custom make into here, and there's no limitation whatsoever. It's using GPT AI as well as our AI, so we're pretty much unbounded here. And teachers have all that power in their hands over here. So if they were to, as an IB teacher, for example, start talking about which was the paragraph that had the most analytical thinking and why, if that's something they're trying to track down for students, again, just ask it. We'll save the history. It can be pre-recorded as a macro, and we're in the game. The fifth paragraph's the best one. So these sort of questions, which paragraph contains the most analytical thinking, there's no limit to what can be asked here by a teacher, and it can be asked at any paragraph level. For the full text, we can freestyle and ask for what's for dinner. So AI is really here to support. This level of support can be tailored into student sort of constructs as well. Okay, the rubric I've loaded. Let me just show you that quickly. Every activity can have a range of different metrics around it. So I'm going behind the scene here, looking at how this thing was set up. I've got some keywords. I'm doing a writing check. I won't explain all of this, but I'm not auto-marking. I'm using a rubric to mark, and I've got the IB extended rubric marking loaded. So I just basically cut and pasted this from a Word doc, and it came in within a couple of minutes, tidied it up a bit. I've now got the IB advanced rubric sitting behind here. Now, all I have to do is say that's what I want. If I want to go to auto marking, I'd turn that on and I'd say rubric none, please. So I can swap between the two. It's simply driven by teachers, okay? That's all set to go with rubric. How to get to rubrics? You manage rubrics up here in the options. So here's our extended essay, IB rubric. Okay, now there's a point to make about rubrics. Some of them are so vague, and the IB one's no different. It's got, predominantly kind of, if they're doing some of this and not too much of that, it's vague. So you have to really start to narrow down exactly what criteria get what scores. It's also got banded scores, which, you could deconstruct into what a 3 is and what a 4 is, because that gets to more clarity in the engine. So loading these rubrics and dealing with these rubrics is simply a bit of teacher interface to make sure we've got the right sort of language, very precise language that AI can latch onto. Once you've done that, you connect it to your activity, and once you've got it connected to your activity, you can use it to score students automatically. So it's really a great self-help for students and for teachers. In terms of basic management of the system, it's what we've done is we've set you up with a class. You can extend this, you can extend classes, all pretty straightforward. Classes and students, okay? So obviously, if you want to register a student, you can just add one. It's a simple name, unique username or email with a password, okay? These are your student names right now. If you want to change the password or reset it, here it is here. All the passwords usually come out as password 88, but that means everyone has access, so you can change the passwords. Really easy to do. You can add more teachers into the environment, and you can add more classes. So obviously students belong to classes, teachers belong to classes. It's that simple to manage at a student and access level. As you can see, also you can sync with Microsoft Teams and Google, so it makes it even easier. You can bring it in by spreadsheet, even easier again, and you're off. The dashboard supports everything we do. Everything that's going on in this system has data that's recorded. Okay, so if you want to backtrack and see which students need a specialized class in what, we can do it. It's something, it's probably another course to go through, but just at a highlight level, that's what's going on. Now, the other little companion platform that goes with this Scribo is Presto. And Presto is all about creating something really quick to engage students in writing. So if I wanted to, for example, create a essay scaffold for the life and times of Genghis Khan. Okay, I'll call it GK. It's prompt driven. So we basically set it up for success. We want, 600 words. We want to see 5 paragraphs from these kids. And we want to see that, in year 9. So we want to set a decent level of requirement. We want an essay genre, and we want students to use feedback for correcting it, and we want a scaffold in response. So a scaffold will drive the user experience. It'll get them planning their essay before they do their essay. There's a whole bunch of research and pedagogy around this, is that, you don't give them a blank piece of paper. Give them somewhere to start, somewhere to get their thoughts organized. That's what we're doing here. We're building a scaffold around the Genghis Khan story. We're creating a question around it. We're creating all the sections of the essay they're going to have to think about. We're creating the topic. We're creating keywords, phrases you can use, how to plan. We take them through the major paragraph structures, and these are interactive, which means we get students planning before they start writing. And of course, this will go into Scribo. So when I run this as a student, I get to where I need to go. It will then open up Scribo, put my planning beside my writing, and I'm in a place where we call it, hey Presto, because you've got this connection between learning to write and actually physically writing, and it just gets better with some more sort of structured content. I put GK as the initials. He's obviously a soccer player because AI has found a hit for GK. If I wanted to change this and start working it up a bit, I can do that. So Genghis Khan was famous for his big statue. That's it there. Okay, we got it. If we wanted to put a video into here, after the topic, we want to put a video. Here we are here. It links into EDU for YouTube. So it's a matter of just really doing what you do as a teacher, but letting this thing bring it all together as a presentation layer. If you wanted to put an exemplar in here, we could ask it quickly for 200 words on Genghis Khan. Pardon my spelling, but it'll fix that. It'll quickly write 200 words on Genghis Khan. I can then just insert that really quickly into my card deck saying, look, here's an example of an essay, so why don't you try and write one like this? It all depends on the pedagogical approach, what you're trying to encourage kids to do. Some teachers give them half an essay and you say, you finish it. Others say, look, here's the introduction, you write the next paragraph. There's all sorts of ways to teach writing. It's not limited. It's designed to be inclusive. So here's my, I'll just add that as a text. So there's my sample essay on Genghis Khan. Now, as a teacher, that's a godsend because I don't have to write anything, okay? So what we're trying to encourage people like yourselves to get behind here is the speed at which generative AI can create content. We then can package it into a library of content and students can select from the library and get going.